of the way. Let's talk to Martin McTague, OBE, National Chair of the Federation of Small Businesses, to find out what he makes of it all. Is it going to be growth? Is it ever going to happen? Is it going to be 2050 before we see a third runway? Does it really matter? Martin, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
So, what do you reckon? I mean, she seems to be putting an awful lot of stall in this idea that the third runway is going to kickstart the economy in Britain. But, I mean, if it's not going to arrive until 2050, I'm not quite sure how that's going to have any effect on the economy in the short term at all.
Yeah, well, we're used to excuses from government. You know, we've had planning blamed, we've had regulation blamed for infrastructure stopping, we've had the fact that judicial reviews have been constantly made as an excuse.
Yeah.
We haven't built a runway in this country for nearly 40 years.
Yeah.
So the fact that she's prepared to announce and face down some criticism within her own party about the Heathrow expansion, I think is a good sign.
Well, it's a good sign if it means anything, but I'm not sure it will mean anything, because she's not just facing, criticism from people who don't think it's a good idea. She's facing criticism from people like Sadiq Khan, who's vowing to absolutely stop it from happening.
Yeah, she is. And for us, you know, the more important point is that small businesses have always been the source of growth. And what she's got to do is find ways of stimulating the passion that small businesses have put into to generate growth in the past. What we worry about is that if you take an organisation like HMRC, which is still deteriorating, its performance is poor. We're now facing the January deadline for your self-assessment, and again, the kind of reaction you get from HMRC is dreadful.
Yeah.
Employment rights bill is on the horizon, which is another major problem for small businesses. So these things are within the government's grasp, and they could sort them out quickly.
Right. Well, the other problem you guys are going to have, as big companies are as well, is the national insurance hike as well. You know, come April, it's all going to be a lot more expensive. When I talk to small business owners all the time, some of them in hospitality, some of them in other parts of the different sectors of the economy, and they're all saying, you know, this is either going to wipe out our profit from last year, or it's going to, the increase in minimum wage as well. It's going to make our costs rise sort of exponentially to a point where much of what we do is going to be very difficult.
Well, that's true, but about half the employers in the country were protected from that increase because they employ 10 or less employees. The big companies can manage this. The people I worry about are the mid-sized companies, the ones who haven't got the resources to manage this, who will have to say, no, you're not getting a pay increase, or we're going to have to lay you off, or your overtime's being cancelled. Yeah. That's the kind of reaction that I worry about.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, one of the people I speak to on a regular basis, he said, and he's got, a couple of businesses up in Scotland, it's going to cost him £250,000, and that's a lot of money for a small business to have to suddenly find, which last year they didn't have to find.
Absolutely, and in a way, it's outsourcing bad news. Government, if it had taken the responsibility to put up income tax or VAT, they would have had to explain it to the country. This way, they're outsourcing the bad news to employees. Right.
So what would you say to Rachel Reeves then, if she was sitting in front of you and you had an opportunity to say, this is what you need to do in this next sort of 10 months before the end of the year to actually create proper growth? Because I don't really see that the Heathrow plan is going to do anything, certainly not in the short term.
Well, I think the Heathrow plan is a good signal. I don't want to pour cold water on that. I know there's a lot of cynicism about it, but as far as I'm concerned, there are major things she could do to try and reverse things within the Treasury, and one of the biggest things would be to knock HMRC into shape.
Right, just to make it more efficient, apart from anything else, you mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, good thinking. Martin McTague OBE, thank you very much indeed, National Chair, Federation of Small Businesses.